fully breaking down my Rebound training split. All right guys, as promised from this video, I'm gonna go through and talk about the current training model that I'm using in terms of training split and how I'm setting that up and why. So once I got off stage in 2023, I really took a look at my photos and assessed where I was at, what I need. And for the most part, everything from the front is where it needs to be. Now, would I like bigger arms? Yes, which is why you see me adding a little bit of arms to pull and a little bit of triceps to my chest day. So that's just me being greedy and trying to be like Phil Heath. So, because in bodybuilding at the end of the day, right, like your arms can never be too big. So, and my thought process is like, hey, let's get my arms blown out to really match my shoulders, even though my arms I wouldn't consider, they are not small anymore. So if you look at this new training split, it's really heavily geared towards bringing up my back. And yes, it has always been an issue for me since starting bodybuilding day one, but now it's even more so in my mind glaring because everything else has just grown so much, right? Like, so when we assess my photos, legs are good, calves, that's a joke, they don't even get judged, but I wish they did. Chest, shoulders, arms, I'm in a good spot. It all comes down to lat thickness and adding that dense muscle to my lats, meaning the muscle under my armpit. Because at the end of the day, like my upper back, like everything between from my rear delt to my rear delt and traps are developed. It's just that meat sitting on my rib cage. So when I designed this split, something I've never done in the past is intentionally pulled back volume and pulled back intensity on other body parts, which again is not easy for me to wrap my mind around because I love hard training. But I said, you know what, if I want to take my physique to the next level, I need to do a lot more volume and more intensity from my back, which means instead of just tacking it on top while still doing all my other body parts to the extreme, all that did was further that gap between everything else in my back, specifically my lats. So if I'm still trying to blow my legs out with tons of volume, tons of intensity, they're still gonna grow. And guess what? All day long, even though I may be putting more volume, more intensity to my lats, my legs, because they're a genetically gifted body part in terms of how I'm built, will always grow at a faster rate, which just means the discrepancy between the two will still be large, where I need to shorten that gap. So my thought process is pull back intensity, pull back volume on every strength. So the two most glaring strengths are gonna be quads, hamstrings, so my lower body, and then shoulders. So again, even though I love training those three body parts a lot, like they're my favorites, I connect to them the most. When I get pumped, they just look crazy, and that's fun for me. I love hack squatting, I love leg pressing, lunging, split squats, anything side rear laterals, just burning my shoulders, stripping my shirt off after a workout, looking in the mirror and like, man, like, it's really cool to see my shoulders look like that because they used to be a drastic weakness when I first started bodybuilding. So like, I like the fact that I can see that progression and be like, hey, you know what? I figured shoulders out for me. And it's one of the few areas where I look at my body, I'm like, okay, that is top national level development. So I'm really proud of those, really proud of my legs. But in order for those body parts to simply just go in maintenance mode, and you know, I joked a couple of my buddies, and I think I even joked Chaz when we filmed these, is like, watch, I'm gonna pull back the intensity and volume of shoulders and legs and they're still gonna grow because I'm not beating them to the fucking ground. And guess what? During this rebound, like now that the rebound's over and I'm making this video in hindsight, it's what happened. Like, it's actually kind of laughable. Like, I pulled back intentionally on my lower body and they're the biggest they've ever been. Same with shoulders. I just did chest and shoulders today, and I'll get him to pop up some pictures on the screen. Like, tell me that my shoulders aren't blown out. And I'm literally doing 6 sets total for shoulders per week. 6, that's it. So, little funny side note for you guys. But getting back to the topic at hand, on top of me doing pull and push to start the week, so if you look at that day one, pull is gonna be a ton of back, and it's all exercises that I feel and am deeply connected to. And then I go into abs to loosen them up after hitting my lower back. And then I go right into some bicep work that's pump style. Now, I have a full arm workout at the end of the week, as you all know, but I'm gonna get a little bit of biceps on day one. Now, transitioning to day two, I say push. Now, it's not your technical push day because I'm removing shoulders from it. So it's all chest and then nothing but triceps. And if you notice, I actually have, from this video, I do a good bit of tricep work because if you look at the arm, the tricep is 2/3 of it. So I'm gonna give a little bit more volume to the tricep. And because my chest is so dominant in terms of my upper body poses, especially when I'm hitting the most muscular side chest, I can pull back that volume on chest as well, where on day one, I'm putting a ton of volume towards my back, so I can't do a ton of bicep work. So I have to be very strategic with that. Next up, I'm gonna follow that up with legs and lower body. Now, and what I want you to really pay attention to is, even though I'm still doing the core, or what I would consider base exercises, a leg curl, an adductor, a leg extension, 1 or 2 presses, leg press, hack squat, I'm not going crazy with volume. I'm purposely doing less. I'm doing things like occluded work to limit the load on my central nervous system so it's not digging that ditch of recovery so much. And I'm being very smart with the intensity techniques that I apply, meaning with my back off sets, because my top sets are going to relatively be like just a hard set of, for legs at least, 15 to 30. And my back off is where I usually do some kind of fun intensity in the past. So drop sets, rest pulls, super slow pausing, all that kind of stuff. But I'm purposely trying to pull that back and just literally get a pump and then get out. So again, as I just said to you, and I can say this in reflection, that worked really, really well. And in addition to that, most Fridays I'd met with Chris Osborne with C&E Performance, and we did the newbie. So that took my weight down even more. So what I mean by weight is, like on a leg press, I'm working up to typically 6, 7, 8 plates on a leg press. We're using 3, 4, maybe 5, and we're finishing legs in 40 minutes with the newbie. And if you want an example of what one of those look like, we'll post that here. Now, what you're gonna see in that video is gonna be way more extreme than what we're doing. We're literally just getting in there trying to make my VMO, meaning that teardrop, the muscle above my knee, blow up. And that's for 2 reasons. I wanna do it so I have long-term knee health. So the stronger that VMO is and can fire and stay on, the less likely I am to have a knee injury. And then on top of that, if you look at my legs as a whole, like, I'm really sweep and adductor dominant, and I want to increase that muscle. So within that quad, I want to see my VMO come up. So we do 2 pads on my VMO, 1 on my sweep, and then 1 on my rec fem. So my 4th day of the week is going to be a secondary back day with shoulders at the end. So I go to any time for this because I can do a lot of dual cable, meaning 2 separate heads of the cable, and get single arm pull downs and rows, and I just freaking love those. It allows me to isolate each side of my back, and if you look at any of my back shots, my left lat is noticeably smaller than my right, so the individual work forces that left side to keep up with the right, as opposed to, let's say I'm doing a double hand Cybex row, right? Instinctually, I'm probably gonna pull more with my right side than my left because it has more muscle, right? And I can't, in the moment, actively change that. Where if I'm doing a dumbbell row or a single cable pull down, that left side has no choice but to pull, say, 130 pounds, exactly the way the right side's doing. So that's why I tend to opt for single side work with my back. And in addition to that, I've always felt like I can get a better connection when I do one side at a time. So again, I go through the back portion of the workout, fly through it, feels great, pumps big, and I tackle on 6 sets of shoulders to the end of that. And it's really 6 to 8 sets depending upon the day, honestly. And get a huge pump really quick, and then it's out, rest, recover, because I'm gonna finish up the week with an arm day. So all the same arm stuff, except I just pull the volume back a touch. So any of the arm days you ever watched on this channel, it's the same premise. Pump, lots of cable work, dumbbell work, and from there, it's just, again, I pull back that volume on my arm day specifically because I'm already hitting arms earlier in the week with pull and push, so I don't need quite as much on the tail end, but just go in there, get a massive pump, do a little bit of calves at the end, and then I'm home to rest, take Sunday off, and then start the week over. So there you have it, guys, a full explanation of my split through the end of my rebound phase. With my cardio throughout this whole process, that's something people were going to ask me about. I just slowly tinker it back. So my cardio had gotten up to as much as 50 minutes per day, 5 days a week, going into that, finishing up that prep. So all I did was just through the course of the 8 weeks, just slowly pull back 5 minutes every week until I got down to 4 sessions per week at 20 minutes. And then I rode that out into my full off week where I did nothing, no training, no cardio, and just chilled. So that's the full explanation and how I looked at my entire course of my rebound phase. Then we had an off week where we don't do anything. I pull my food way back, have a very balanced diet for my off week. And then this week, I actually get to start what most people call a health phase, where it's just, I'm gonna pull everything back. So my food comes down, all my supplements come down, and in terms of my training, all my volume intensity goes way back, and I start over at square one. So I go back to 4 days per week training, have 3 rest days, and then for cardio, I'm gonna do 2 HIIT sessions and then 2 steady state, low intensity cardio on either the bike or the treadmill, most likely the treadmill. I'm gonna walk at a 3 speed, 3 incline for 20 minutes. So pretty excited to get into that. That's where we're gonna start filming next week. So you'll be able to see what those workouts look like. And then in about 10 minutes, we're gonna film what I'm gonna do for HIIT. So a little quick sneak peek. What we'll do is, we're gonna trash the Peloton bike, and then we'll get the Prowler out and pull it up the street for my back. So when I pull it up, I'm gonna row it. So actually back row it with a TRX. So we're gonna film that next. I'm a little nervous because it's gonna kind of remind me of football days, and I hopefully won't end with my head in the trash can throwing up, but we're gonna find out. It's gonna be fun. So until next time, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Chris TV.